There are many reasons why the UK and Europe at large has been a success in historical terms, and chief amongst them is that we had high trust societies at one time. High trust societies, so the theory goes, are a lot smoother and safer and efficient than other types of societies because people are coming from a shared cultural script, a shared ethnos, meaning you know how other people are going to behave. Because of this, you can trust most people to follow the law, both in its explicit form and its implicit social form. I'm sure regular viewers of the channel are aware that I tend to lean rightwards. Now, I don't really believe in the traditional left-right dynamic anymore. I think it's somewhat obsolete in our modern world. But the point I'm getting at, despite leaning right, I wouldn't be some free market absolutist. I don't think that's really conservative anyway. That idea came along with Thatcher in the 80s. Personally, I believe it's consistent with conservative or traditionalist thought to believe that you can have bodies like the NHS, which are traditionally aligned with socialism. However, I believe that projects like the NHS can only really work if you have a high trust society. That means you can trust your fellow man not to abuse the system, that everybody pays into it, but everybody takes out to it in relatively equal measure. But let's be honest, the NHS isn't working anymore, and scenes like this aren't exactly uncommon in modern Britain.
We've currently got 170 patients in the department. That's 170, quite a few. There are 90 patients waiting to be seen at the moment. That's 90 of you are still waiting to be seen. Our current wait time for a doctor is 7.5 hours. I will estimate that by the time I go home in the morning at 8 o'clock, some of you will still be here waiting for a doctor, because the wait will get up to 12 or 13 hours.
Now, the left would say here it's simply because the NHS doesn't get enough funding, even though it's just a black hole which swallows more money every single year, and all we need to do is have more immigrants. But I think it's obvious to the rest of us, especially if you've visited a city with high immigration, that many people have come over here and used the NHS for absolutely everything. This means that the NHS has become dangerously inefficient. Like many of our services, police don't really deal with burglaries anymore or patrol the streets. This has led to an increasing amount of people like this fella who've noticed that the system doesn't have any teeth anymore, so they can essentially do what they want.
You need to get off the train, bud. You need to get off the train because you haven't got a ticket.
That's not my stop though, mate.
Yeah, no, but that doesn't matter. You don't have a ticket. All these other people have tickets. So, you can take me all you want. I'm doing my job. My name's commercial guard. This man's getting off the train and I'm not moving it until he's gone.
I bet you do move it.
Eh?
I bet you do move it.
Really?
I lost my wallet, so I got to go.
You're
innit?
lying now. Otherwise you would have started.
Lying? You didn't ask me. You didn't ask me, did you?
I asked you if you had a ticket.
You didn't ask me
You told
anything.
me you didn't buy a ticket.
Okay.
So, you need to leave the
I
train.
didn't tell you why though.
No? But you need to leave the train.
I'm not leaving the train. I'm not leaving the train.
You're delaying all these people's journey.
I'm not delaying no
Yes,
one.
You
You are.
You need to buy the
You
ticket,
are.
sir. Get off the train. Buy a ticket or get off the train.
You're gonna make me go to the train.
No, sir.
Go then. So that's not you're gonna make me. You're not gonna make me.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the delay in this service.
Yeah, it should be.
Person is encouraged.
Should be.
Refusing to buy tickets, thinking travel for nothing. So, thanks for this.
I don't think I am. I know I am. That's what I'm doing right now. People like him.
Apologies for that.
Thank you. It made me feel so special. It feel so special.
What I find most sad about this is how the poor old train guard, who let's be honest seems a bit like a flamboyant gay who'd vote for the Labour Party, actually appeals to high trust society. He actually says to the fella, everyone else on this train has bought a ticket. That's an appeal to the group. However, this guy doesn't care about the group, and this is the liberal delusion we toil under. The only time you're allowed to speak about the group is if we make out that this fella has been somehow othered by society, that if we'd just been more tolerant and read more Marxist theory and blamed ourselves for absolutely everything that's gone wrong in his life, he'd be a productive member of society. Talking of Marxism, that's also overtaken our increasingly degenerate and soulless music culture. Here's a they-them talking about how it's moral to steal from supermarkets.
It's morally and ethically okay to steal from Tesco's, Asda, Morrison's, Sainsbury's and Waitrose. Not even just if you need to survive when you're starving. No one expects you to die. I mean, you absolutely should steal as much as you can. Have food and Blu-rays and flowers for your man, because big companies are harmed by stealing. Because even if they're short, it raises their premiums, which is cool, fine, and actually what I want to do.
Now, I'm not exactly fond of mega chain supermarkets. I think they've destroyed local butchers and greengrocers and so forth. But what Florence doesn't seem to understand here is if you start stealing from shops, that leads to a breakdown across society. If retailers feel like their stock is only going to be stolen, they're obviously going to bring in increasingly draconian measures to protect that. Further to that, it's going to impact the economy in a highly negative way and ensure that nobody actually wants to invest in the UK. And this is the great irony of people like Tinkerbell. If the social breakdown that he or she or they desire actually happened, they'd be absolutely destroyed in a primal society. In fact, the only reason they have this bizarre androgynous identity is because of neoliberalism itself. Now, not that I really buy into much that comes out of academia, but for any naysayers, there are studies coming out now that are showing that diversity actually decreases trust in society. But as I say, most academia is completely manipulated anyway. It all depends on who's doing the funding, and further to that, most academics have figured out the answer, which is white people are oppressive, before they've even started. But despite academia being another dimension of modern society that's been ruined by liberalism, the people are waking up across the Western world. That's why even people like leftist Justin Trudeau are saying they're going to limit migration now. If there are any Canadians watching, please don't believe this. We get this in Europe all the time. They say things to try and assuage the fears of the public, and then they go and do what they want anyway. What I also find appalling about Justin Trudeau is his rationale for limiting migration is simply the economy. I think people across the Western world aren't so fussed by the economy increasingly. They care about their homeland, their communities, their high-trust societies. It doesn't mean that nobody can integrate into that, but it takes a long time and people need to come in very small numbers. We're experiencing the exact opposite. This is why I think things are moving towards balkanization in the future. These are just my views, however. Do let me know what you think down below. Do consider subscribing to the channel.